All right, tonight's games on Gitsapalooza are brought to you with the kind consideration and help of the Labyrinth Games in Baraboo, Wisconsin.
Hello everyone and welcome to Gitsapalooza. I know it's been a long time since I posted anything. It's not that I haven't been busy. I've been playing actually a lot of Bushido. But as you guys have probably figured out, I'm kind of finicky when it comes to filming armies that aren't painted, and I have been working on my Savage Wave army. It's now gone through several iterations. You guys saw the last one with the 4 big models in the last battle report. That has been transmuted into a dog army, which I'm really enjoying and is actually reasonably good. So Tyler and I, say hi Tyler.
Hi.
Hi, there we are. We're at the Labyrinth Games in Baraboo, and we are going to play a Vim mission, and the name of the mission I just can't remember at the moment.
Envoy.
Envoy, thank you. So in Envoy, you get a point for doing the most damage to your opponent's Vim. You get a point for doing any damage in melee combat to their Vim. And you get a point for having your Vim closest to the enemy deployment zone. So, of course, at least all 3 of these could technically be tied. In other words, you could both do melee damage, you could both do equal numbers of damage, and you could both be in your enemy's deployment zone, in which case you would tie all 3 points, which I kind of like. It's a little less all or nothing. So I'm trying to mix up the tables a little bit. I've got a tournament here in Madison coming up next Sunday. And then, of course, I'm the TO for the Grandmasters tournament at Adepticon. And I'm hoping that people will help pitch in boards so we can have a big list. I've only got 8 boards, so that's only 16 people. I think we're going to get a lot more than that signing up. So I put an appeal out for people to bring boards, and I've gotten a great response so far. But anyway, I'm going to try to mix up my terrain so I'm not putting out the same boards I did last year. Probably mostly the same terrain. I have gotten a few new pieces, but I'm just trying to mix things up to make it a little more interesting. So here we have this wooded area with a little market town in the middle. This is probably, this could be the very edge of a mountain, small village, or maybe a logging camp or something along those lines where you have some market stalls and some food stalls just on the edge of the wilderness. And so this is where our Vims, we'll be hunting each other's Vims. Could be competing for contracts, could be competing for market share, who knows. But it'll be interesting. So I am, once again, playing my Oni, which I will go into detail later. Tyler is put together a couple of new armies, which is really exciting. He's been very busy. And so now he's got Cult, and he's playing some figures I've never seen before. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'll be back in a moment with the warbands. Here we are with my Alphas theme list. So we'll start out, of course, with of course the light is right in front. There we are. So we have the Alphas theme list, which is kind of handy. It's actually, I think it's one of the better themes that I've had experience with. You get a 1-point discount on the Oni. You get, the first Oni gets immunity to prone, or not immunity, but basically, if an Oni gets prone, you get to ignore the first one in any given turn. That's handy. You get to give one of the Oni terror, which basically means that if your opponent makes a fear test, they have to re-roll it. And it's just really handy. I like it. It does have limitations, basically slaves, animals, monsters, and Oni, full Oni, not Oni show. So I'm going to start with Zuba. I think he's one of the most all-around useful Oni out there. And I've given Zuba Spirit of the Consumed, which increases his key statistic from 2 to 3. Because he has a key statistic I want to use almost every turn once the game gets rolling, and that is Future Sight. That extra key means I have some key left over for Consume Soul, or eventually maybe for bumping up my my firepower, so it's pretty handy. And I also really like the sweep attack with the ground slam. That means he's basically proning models with a range attack hit of any level. Doesn't do damage, but it prones them, and with the dogs, that's really important. The next one, okay, this is a proxy, even though he does kind of look like the figure. I am working on Yusha. I just finished his airbrushing, but he's got a long way to go yet. So I'm going to proxy Bobata the Bell Ringer for Yusha. They do have the same base size. So Yusha is the Oni that is intended to go with the dogs. He's a basic Oni. He's a little underperforming in the combat arena. However, he does have inspiration, which means for 2 key, he can give an extra melee die to an allied model with less rice value than he has. And then he has spur on, so for another 2 key, he can, let me flip this over. I just played him once, so. Spur on, till the end phase target friendly animal model gains rise 4 and loses aloof. The losing aloof is really what I'm interested in. That means that aloof is what prevents an animal from interacting with an objective. And he can take that away so that theoretically one of my dogs could interact with an objective. I have the full dog pack. So I've got the Kai-Hai Alpha, and for Kai-Hai, they are fantastic as a pack. Even though they're only 2 dice each, they move fast. They have all kinds of little extra bonuses that make them just devastating. He gives them, the Alpha gives them group activation. They've got, all have vengeance versus prone and immobilized, which is why Zuba is a nice addition with his proning attack. Basically, vengeance means they get +1 attack die and +1 strength against a prone or immobilized enemy. And they have counter coordinated attack. So if from any more than 1 dog attacking gets a +1 bonus in dice, because they're coordinating their attack, the dogs are, and this does extend to the Alpha. So 1 dog is nothing special, 2 dogs, not really anything special, but you get 3 or 4 dogs on a model and things go south really fast. And then I have my little Oni slave. I think this list might actually have 2 Oni slaves when it's finally complete, but I only have 1 at the moment. The other one's coming any day, hopefully from GCT. And then to make up, I have 7 points left. So what I took was Spirit of the Consumed, I mentioned already. Hodiai's Coin on Zuba just to help me get rid of those pesky ones. I've got Vile Roland, I have no idea how to pronounce that word. Raywin's Breath. All it does is it gives him Cloud Walk and +2 move. So if I need to get somewhere in a hurry, he can do that. And then last but not least, I've got Balance, which is nice to deal with armies that re-roll dice, at least for 1 turn. And Tyler's Cult have Fresh, which means they're re-rolling dice all over the place when it comes to Rise tests. So anyway, there we go. There's my 100 Rice army. Technically it's 102, but there's a 2 Rice discount, 1 for each Oni. And there you go. I will be handing this over to Tyler, or maybe combining with Tyler, to get a rundown on his list, and then we'll get the game going.
Okay, so I'm running 2 Risen Kurai, Katsuda Kurai, 2 Kurai Villagers, a Marionette, Kato the Puppet Master, Death and Decay theme, Breath of Yurei events, a Desecrated Grave so I can get up further, Tadoa, the Risen Samurai, and Araka, the big guy who can throw corpses. And I've got Fresh on all the Kurai except for him.
All right, we are back after deployment. Just to recall, Tyler won the deployment roll. So he had me deploy first. So here's my little 6x6 square. And, oh, the dogs are just so pretty. They turned out nice. I like them. Anyway, so I'm just kind of crammed into this little square. And I've got all these models with huge bases. But there I go. So I'm just tucked away in the corner. Tyler's main force is back here. He has, because of his theme, he was able to advance his deployment a little bit. And then he has, Tyler, what's the name of this rock here?
Desecrated Grave.
The Desecrated Grave. And so his Kyrai were able to forward deploy around the Desecrated Grave. However, they come in with no activation, so they are exhausted at this point, which is why we're using the old key tokens for activation counters. So that's why you don't see any activation counters around these guys. So we are all set to go. Oh, and Tyler played a card. Tyler, tell me about the event.
Breath of Yurei.
Okay.
So during the deployment until the end phase of the first turn, non-6 sense, non-soulless models cannot draw line of sight further than 2 inches. And at the beginning of the second turn, I can forfeit my tactical test to persist this until the end of the second turn.
All right, so at least for 1 turn, I have an effective sight range of 2 inches and possibly for 2 turns, since I am not soulless. So there we go. Tyler, why don't we roll to see who gets the option of the first move? So this is our tactical roll. Tyler gets 4. I get a 5 this turn. I will have Tyler move first, and we will see you guys after the end of turn 1. All right, my friends, here we are at the end of turn 1. Like most games in Bushido. So Tyler moved up pretty faithfully. He's got Tyler. I want to try to remember the name of at least one figure. The big guy. What's him?
Araka.
Araka.
Yep.
Okay, so Araka and company. I've moved up to flank, and then Kato. You see him sneaking around there, so he can marionette me. So he's hiding behind the Kyrai, and then the Kei and the Alpha have moved up to the left, and all of my key-bearing models focused to double their key because I'm going to have need of it. And since I'm not in a big rush to get to any kind of objective this game for once, I thought I would take advantage of that and kind of buff up my key. So I'm still close enough. My 2 groups can support each other. But I have a little bit of a line here with the dogs. So we'll see where it goes from here. Tyler, you want to roll to see who's got initiative next turn? Do I want to use my... No, I don't. So I'm just going to make an initiative roll.
You automatically pass.
Okay, so Tyler's going to continue his card for a second turn, which means that I will not be able to draw line of sight beyond 2 inches for 1 more turn. So that will make things simple, but I automatically win the test. So I will see you back at the end of turn 2. Here we are at the end of turn 2. Mostly, because of this I can't do anything unless I'm 2 inches away event, it was very difficult for me to really move forward and do anything without leaving myself exposed. So I kind of hung back, and the cult really came forward strongly. The undead corpse of an ogre there took a couple of pot shots throwing corpses at the dogs. That didn't amount to anything. Speaking of things that didn't amount to anything, I had Zuba in my alpha jump that one particular Kairai, and because of his cloud of flies, I was stunned. And I did manage to do 2 points of damage to him, but that was about it. Of course, now Kato is right here in a position to marionette one of my guys, so we'll see how that goes. I didn't talk about, this is a Vim mission, and Kato is Tyler's Vim, and the Oni slave, believe it or not, is my Vim. So we'll see how it goes. So Tyler, let us roll to see who, no victory points obviously set aside yet. Let's roll, take our tactical test. Finally, I'm out from under this cloud. I am going to put 2 points of, we haven't keyed up yet, at least I haven't, but I am going to put 2 points of key towards future sight. So I get, and I have tactician basically, so I get an extra die for the tactical roll. So Tyler, you ready? Tyler rolls a 6, and I get a double 6, so I get a 7. So I win the tactical roll. I will go first. How was that? Pretty awesome. I need it. All right, we'll see you at the end of this next turn. Okay, I'm going to film this little maneuver because something deep inside me seems to think that it's wrong. However, I can't find in the rules where it excludes it, in the new rules. I am pretty sure this wouldn't have been legal in the old rules, verbatim from the way the rules are written, but I can't find the exclusion I was looking for this. So, in essence, I'm kind of backed into a corner. I'm outnumbered. He's got far more activations than I do. So I'm trying to figure out how to get out of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Yusha, who has the Vial of Radiant's Breath, which gives him +2 movement and fly. And I'm going to charge Kato. Now, the reason I think I can charge Kato is because of, not fly, but Cloud Walk. Because if you have Cloud Walk, you ignore zones of control. So not only am I going, normally when you charge into somebody's zone of control or directly into base to base. And that's how you do it. But since I can ignore all this, and I don't actually have to consider zones of control until I land, so if I land in base to base behind him, like so, do my best Chevy Chase. There you go. So I make a straight charge into his back, and then I turn around. Now running says specifically that at the end of your movement you cannot turn. But if you read the charge rules, there's nothing in the charge rules that says you cannot make a turn as part of a charge, like a movement. You can't change your facing basically at the end of a charge. So Tyler's letting me do this just for fun, but I'm saying I don't really know. Like I said, under the last edition rules, I'm confident I couldn't do this. Under these rules, I can't find the rule in the book that tells me I can't do this. But I suspect it might be there. So if you guys can, if you guys know this game better than I do, which is very likely, and find it, please point it out. Just give me a page number and paragraph. But for giggles, for the time being, this is my desperation play for his Vim, because I am kind of backed into a corner with a lot more activations in the models, which is not good for this army. So that's what we're going to do. We'll see how it turns out, whether this actually works or not. Unfortunately, Yusha is not the best fighter, so there's no guarantee that this is actually going to accomplish anything, but we're going to give it a try. I'll give you an update as soon as this little combat is over. All right, so here we are at the end. You don't have to feel bad for Tyler, regardless of whether I could legally do that or not. He was prepared. I hit him for a bazillion points, and he just substituted a Kairai for him, and then he did some kind of poison attack, which
Ivory prison.
instantly killed my guy and gained him a Kairai. So I lose a 22-point Oni and my dog support, and he gains a Kairai. Pretty good deal. And there we go. So I'd still like to know whether I could do what I did, but like I said, don't feel bad for Tyler. He was totally prepared. We are at the end of turn 3, and as you can tell by the huge mass of humanity and actually not humanity in the middle, I think there's only one human on the whole board. It's a mess. Let's see, let's start over here. So the big ex-Ogren, or Oni, killed the dog, but the dog really held up for a long time and kind of screwed up the Oni, the undead Oni, who could have walked in and messed up my dogs. I had taken my dogs and moved them over here so they could make a play for Kato. And that one little dog managed to hold out for 3 combats before he finally went down and then got turned into this Kairai. The dogs came over here and killed her, this Kairai right here, and then she made a rise test. They did how much damage to Kato?
5.
5 out of 6. So Kato's down to 1 wound, and that one is the leftover of the Oni that he zapped the last turn. So he's still prone. Then these guys jumped in on Zuba, who passed with flying colors. And then between Zuba and the dog, and the alpha, they killed this Minimoto undead, but then he made his rise test. So now he's prone, but then the dog attacked him again and did 4 more damage. So I think he's got about 3 damage left. But with rise 4 and with re-rolling all the rises, you know, I have a 25% chance of actually killing a zombie. So my overall strategy is just to tie them up, while my Vim is running like a madman along the edge of the board. Unfortunately, he has to get all the way over there. So it'll be 2 turns before he's even closer to Tyler's deployment zone than Kato is right now, because he's only a few inches off. So it's going to be a long run, but you know, what are you going to do? So anyway, there we are. So at the end of turn 3, so I have gotten, I think, 2 of the 3 victory points that are available in the game. I have done, well, at least I guess I don't have one yet. I do have a victory point for causing damage in hand-to-hand combat to Kato, to Tyler's Vim. And then at the moment, Tyler's Vim has taken 5 wounds, and my Oni slave only has 5 wounds. So if I don't do the 6th wound to Kato, and he manages to kill my Oni slave, then we will tie for that victory point. And then the 3rd victory point, of course, is getting to the other deployment zone. And like I said, right now the advantage is definitely Tyler's. And he's got a bunch of models that he can break off and do things with to get in my way. But I'm gonna do what I can. So we'll see how things go. Onward to turn 4, Tyler. Why don't we make a roll to see who goes first? I am going to use Zuba again.
I automatically pass.
What's that?
Because of my theme.
Yeah.
Death and Decay, I win turn 4.
Oh, you automatically win turn 4. Okay, so Tyler wins turn 4. I'll save my key. So much for that. We'll see you guys at the end of turn 4. And we have arrived at the end of turn 5. It's been pretty entertaining. There's been lots of fighting going on. Kato is almost dead, but he keeps taking Kairai. He's down to 1 point. I just can't do the last point because he keeps sacrificing Kairai, which is good because Tyler hasn't failed a rise test yet. So I haven't actually killed any of the Kairai, but Kato keeps sacrificing them to keep himself alive. The big ogre has come in, did some damage to Zuba with a ranged attack. But so this is about to get ugly because the cavalry has arrived. But to my benefit, there is my Vim running, doing an end around, trying to get into that corner. And I think he'll have to do a walk and then a run, but I think he can make it all the way over there. I don't know if I'm going to get Kato or not, but I think I will definitely get the point for doing more damage to him since my guy's way out of range. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. We're running out of time, so we're going to call it at the end of this turn, which is turn 5. So, and I think the results will be pretty clear by then. So we will be back in just a little bit, and we'll see how things go. All right, everyone, here we are at the end of turn 5 and the end of the game. As you can see, all the cult went away except for Kato, who absolutely refuses to die. However, he had to sacrifice every other model on his army to keep himself alive. I kid you not, I did not actually succeed in killing a single Kairai, but all I had to do was keep whooping up on Kato once I got the dogs on him, and he just had to he was down to 1 hit point, so he had to just keep sacrificing Kairai over and over and over again in order to keep Kato alive, and that for me was as good as anything. So Kato is still alive, so however, luckily for me, there's no victory point that requires me to kill Kato. I just needed to do more damage to him than to my Vim, and of course my Vim, being a cowardly Oni slave, just ran like a bat out of hell all the way over into his deployment zone and doesn't have a scratch. He didn't do anything, but he scored, which is what the important thing for the Vim to do. And then, so I got that point. I am closer to his deployment zone than he is to mine, so I got that point. And I did melee damage to him. So it is a 3-0 victory for the Savage Wave, and that's, for me, is saying something. My poor Savage Wave has been getting their butt handed to them for a number of games until I started playing the dogs. I really like the dogs. They're powerful, and they're fun to play, and they look cool. There's a lot of synergy between models, even if your opponent uses Crystal SOB attack on your Ivory Prison, on one of your Oni and kills him in the very beginning, but it worked out anyway. So, Kato just scares the daylights out of me. That marionette just takes things over, and he gets a bunch of control markers, just really murderous. I'm used to, for example, Yusha in my army can hand out a control marker, which is useful and it is interesting and fun, but I don't just take over a guy's model for half the game. It's just a killer. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad to be kind of back on the air after a bit of a hiatus. I was not, I promise you, avoiding filming or avoiding playing. Well, I was avoiding filming, but I was playing a lot. But I want to give you guys a high quality product, and that means painted miniatures and not a million mistakes on my part in the basics of running them. So I'm sure Tyler will open a can of whoop-you-know-what on me at some later point, but at least today I had the advantage. Though it was great to see Tyler's new army on the table. Been really fun. Tyler's got new armies, Ben has new armies, so we've got I've got new armies, so we've got a bunch of new armies around here, which is making playing a heck of a lot more fun. I want to thank the Labyrinth in Baraboo, Wisconsin for letting us set up shop and play. We like supporting our local game stores, and luckily we've got 3 of them in the Madison area that give us great support for Bushido. So we gotta like that. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make a comment, like, subscribe if the mood takes you. Pass the link on to your friends if you're interested. And I will, and I just want to put out here that I am, again, the TO for Adepticon, and there will be the very first American Grand Master tournament at Adepticon this year. So if Adepticon is within reach for you, we are going to have an all-day event, 4 rounds, 100 rice, and the winner is a Grand Master of Bushido, which, among other things, means you get to develop a character of your very own for Bushido, which is about the coolest prize I've ever heard of for any gaming system ever. So maybe we'll see you there. Keep your eyes open. I will be posting about it on the GCT Facebook page and on the forum and on our own Bushido Badgers page on Facebook. So keep your eyes open. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.